Alright guys, what's going on? I know, another video, 2 days in a row, right? Well, I did say in my last video I did have a couple new knives coming. Just gonna move the camera a little bit. Here we go. And got a new ZT. Excuse me, that's a big sneeze. I'm trying to bump the camera real quick. Alright, sorry about that. Have fun staring at a ZT box for a few seconds. So, got a new one in. This is the 770. Ooh, can you even see that? There we go. 770. So these are out. Now, keep in mind these are not the carbon fiber versions. These are the aluminum versions, which was the original knife at SHOT Show. I think it was SHOT Show or Blade Show, was aluminum. Then they announced later that they were going to be doing it in carbon fiber. So the aluminum ones are actually limited run. They didn't make very many of these. How many? I don't know. This is an assisted open knife. This is number 1231. Well, that's freaking cool, guys. Look at that. Serial number 1234. That's pretty sweet. So this is the aluminum version. Carbon fiber is coming out. That's the one I wanted, but those aren't going to be out most likely till next year. So, and I would think early next year, maybe in time for the holidays. You never know. But my source told me that, and he, is a exclusive dealer for ZT and Kershaw, so that they're not going to come out until next year. So I got the 770 aluminum to hold me over. So we're gonna try and let's see if these are the same. Yep, okay. Same bit. We're going to de-assist this one. See how it flips without the... Well, first, before we do that, let's just talk about the knife a little bit. This is just, again, an overview video. It's extremely lightweight. Aluminum scales, I mean, it weighs 3.7 ounces, I believe, is what they list it. It's much lighter than the 566 here. They are very similar in size. The 566 is a titch longer in the handle, but hardly noticeable. Same blade length, same steel. This is the tip-up carry, only right or left-hand side. So it does vary there. There is no option for tip down, which does not break my heart at all. So the scales are nice. They're nicely contoured aluminum. They got some grip. They're a little slick. It's aluminum, but they got some grip. It's nice standoffs, very similar to the 566. There is no lanyard hole, looks like. And it's got this strange pin right here, which I'm not sure what purpose that serves. That's kind of strange. It's not an extra. I mean, there's 3 standoffs. Huh. Same deep carry clip as the 566, and it's speed safe for now. I say for now because I plan on removing it. Fits my hand really nicely. I mean, it's a titch shorter than the 566, but still a good size EDC blade. Still got plenty of grip on the knife, 4-finger or so left over there. It's got that same blade shape as the 770 does. I will say that the flipper, and this might prove problematic with, yeah, there's no jimping on that one, but the flipper on the 566 is it's a lot bigger, sticks out farther, so it's easier to grab. This is going to be interesting when we de-assist it to see how it flips, because the flipper is a lot smaller. So anyway, that's a little bit about the knife. Super lightweight. It is a liner lock. Actually, a subframe lock, technically. So let's go ahead and take her apart. Now, one thing to note, when you take apart speed safe knives, you always want to have the blade opened, because if you don't, you're gonna have all that tension of the torsion bar. God, this pivot screws on there pretty snug, guys. Alright, there we go. Pivots out. Let's do these are going to come out a lot easier, I can already tell, which is nice. Yep. Well, we didn't quite get that one out. So, Got our screws off. Let's pop this scale off. Maybe. Alrighty then. There we go. It was on there pretty tight, gotta say. We're just gonna kind of swing it because it's got that pin down there, so we're just gonna kind of swing it away. And torsion bar is in here as usual. We are gonna remove that. See how she does. Now I do recommend putting this piece back in, otherwise you can get a little rattle if you don't. It's got that small washer on the speedsafe side, which I will upgrade to a larger washer, same as the 566. Honestly, the 566 has been really smooth, but that'll give it some strength. So there's kind of a look at the inside of the knife for you real quick before we I'm trying not to make this a 19-minute video like my review was last night. I didn't even realize it was that long until I uploaded it, and I was like, whoa. Okay, so you got basically like two pins here that hold the scales together, stop pin, and then another one in the bottom, which is interesting. Let's try to get these together without scratching anything. Alright, snaps back into place. It's got a little squeak to it. I noticed that about the 566 is that it didn't have, and I noticed I haven't lubed it, which I probably should, but I just, for the sake of the time of the video, I'm not going to, and I'll probably end up taking it apart later. A lot of guys have said that their 566 needed to be cleaned out and lubed before it worked real well, so keep that in mind. And I might, you know, if it doesn't flip very good, I may do that. So let's not tighten these screws down too much because we may be taking the knife back apart. But it should have a detent. I didn't even check. Oh man, that's funny. I just went off of what everyone was saying, that this does have a detent ball, or a hole in the blade for the detent ball, so yeah, it does. So yeah, this one's not going to flip as good. Not bad. This one takes a little bit more wrist. Oh wow. And that's extremely off center too. We're going to have to tighten that pivot quite a bit. Okay, so I've got it centered. That actually feels better. It still takes a little bit of wrist though. It's not going to be as smooth as the 566. And I kind of figured that with, and I think a lot of that honestly is that the 566 has a good size flipper, so you can really preload it. And you can see that's how I usually do it. Not bad. There you go. That's the key. It's, you know, push down like a button, kind of give it a good push. So it doesn't need wrist. And this is definitely not as smooth out of the box as the 566 was. So I'm going to take it apart again, re-lube it. And my heck, that centering is still way off. What is going on here? This is kind of the stuff you're supposed to edit out of your videos, right? Yeah, so it doesn't flip as good as the 566 for sure, but I still prefer it. Even if I have to give it a little wrist flick, I still prefer it to the speedsafe. That's just me. If you want to leave the speedsafe in, I mean that's the beauty of these knives, is that ZT's giving us an option here. They're not forcing us to use the speedsafe like on their Chinese models. They are, you know, allowing us to. It's still a little bit off center. Jeez. But they're allowing us to, you know, take it out if we want. The option for a manual folder. So, oh wow, that's too tight. This video is pretty much full of fail. But it's an unboxing video, or kind of an unboxing. I don't really do unboxings, but Just want to show you can de-assist it. It does have a detent. You can see I'm shaking that pretty good, but it will need some smoothing out to flip as good. You can probably even lose that a titch. Get that centering good. Yeah, so just got to mess with the pivot a little bit. Make sure you have good centering, which it does. Flips nicely. So it does take a little bit more risk than the 566. I mean, you've seen it on video. I mean, that thing just flies open. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with the flipper mechanism is larger. It gives you more purchase when you're pushing down. This is a lot smaller, so it's going to take a little. It's going to take a little lubing, and we'll clean it up to get it smoother. But definitely de-assistable, if that's even a word. And cool little knife. I mean, it's super lightweight. Crazy thing is the carbon fiber one's only going to weigh 3 ounces. That's going to be nuts. Some differences to note on the carbon fiber is going to have that same pivot as the 777, that decorative pivot that the 777 has. It has the carbon fiber scales. It's going to use the same sunfray block. I'm assuming the same clip from the pictures I've seen. So it's going to look very similar, just to have carbon fiber, but the pivot is a lot larger on that one, and it looks a lot nicer. This is just pretty much your standard pivot screw. So it's the aluminum handled 770. It's a nice ergonomics. I mean, fits really nicely in the hand. It's got some good jimping up here on the spine. It's got that same blade shape as the 770, which is almost a modified Warncliffe blade. It's kind of hard to differentiate what that blade style is. I'm not sure what ZT calls it. Reminds me because it's almost a straight line, but it's got kind of a curve to it. So modified Warncliffe is what we're gonna call it. Yeah, so pretty cool little knife. Digging it. Super lightweight. It's gonna be a good. So here's a size comparison to the 566 side by side. So it is a little bit shorter in the handle. So if you're on the fence about both of these knives, from initial impressions, definitely the 566. They're the same cost. But if the weight of the 566 kills it for you, the 5.3 ounces, you want a lightweight EDC, then the 770 is definitely a good choice. And like I said, I'm really excited for the carbon fiber version. I know it's going to be even nicer. It's going to make the perfect gentleman's folder, I think. You know, and I'm sure, I mean, like a little wrist flick is not the end of the world for me. I mean, it just doesn't quite, when you do that same with the 566, it just doesn't quite get it all the way open. So, good to note. So now you know. Now it's on video. I don't know if there's any other YouTube videos about this knife out there. Well, I didn't even check before I recorded this, but I'm assuming there's not too much. So there's a look at the ZT770. I know this is going to be a popular model. I think the carbon fiber one's going to sell better. I mean, it's obviously a limited or a regular production, where this is a limited production. But I dig the aluminum, and it's nice. Aluminum's smooth, so this would go well in a pair of slacks. You know, if you're dressing it up for church or for whatever, wedding, this is a good choice because it's going to carry deep, except for the clip seems a little tight for me. Let me try it real quick. I'm not going to put this on camera because I'm just wearing some like workout pants. Yeah, it clips on just fine. It's a little stiff, so but it should work just pretty well for a you know, slacks carry, for you know, light, if you're looking for really lightweight EDC. Should do the job just fine. And we'll compare it when the 940 shows up next couple days to that knife. I mean, that knife's even lighter than this, so, and that's probably because of the access lock. But pretty cool little EDC. I like it. It's a good size. It's maybe on the small side for some guys. Like I said, I have medium-sized hands. You can see it does struggle a bit to flip it. And that will break in. I think I just got really lucky. I mean, the 566, you saw the video. I didn't oil it, lube it, nothing. Just took the torsion bar out and reassembled. Bam, it's just smooth as butter. This is not nearly as smooth, but I think I can get there. I'll clean it up, re-lube it, and I think it'll be flipping just fine. So, but I just wanted to do a video, guys. New 770 just came out. Check it out. It's a pretty slick looking knife. Love ZT's offerings. I just think you can't go wrong with a ZT, Elmax steel, and you heard my video yesterday. This has been holding up just fine, it's sharp as a razor. Let's see how the factory edge is here. This is partial from last night. Yeah, I would say that's pretty dang sharp. ZT, yeah, that's way sharp. They give you a Kershaw, Kai, ZT, whatever you want to call them. They always give you a good factory edge. Never had a dull edge come out of Kershaw. The Kershaw factory up there in Tualatin, or even their Chinese knives have never been dull. They always get a good edge on a knife, so you know you're going to have a really sharp knife out of the box. So, should make a good little EDC. I'm pretty stoked to carry it, try it out. I'll do another follow-up video in about a week. Definitely not as easy to work left-handed, but with a little wrist flick it will. And you can hear that squeak, so I'm going to take that apart right now, read a little bit. And I may even include this in the video. I don't know, we're already at 15 minutes, so probably not. Probably look for that in my follow-up video after I've lubed it up, and then I'll see how much smoother it goes. So, alright guys, any comments or questions, leave them below. Thanks! Alright guys, I just decided to combine this with the video, so you thought that other video ended, but it didn't. So what I did is I took apart the, you can see the tools, and this is the Tough Glide. I took apart, and you'll also see another knife here taken apart. I took apart the 770 to see if it would loosen up a little bit, and it's still pretty much the same. It's really not flipping without wrist flick. I mean, if I give it a good push, I can get it to do it, but not every time. So it still takes a little more effort. So it's definitely not as smooth as the 566 as far as the flipper goes. But one thing I did do is I took it apart, and one thing that's always bugged me on these SpeedSafe models is these teeny little washers that they have on the SpeedSafe side. So what I did, and I credit this to Apostle P, he commented on my 566 initial video that, you know, once one thing he doesn't like about this SpeedSafe, when if you take it out, it might flip smooth, but it has that small little washer. Well, what I did is I just had this Kershaw Needs Work just chilling. I've had it forever and ever and ever. Doesn't really ever get used. I mean, it's been used to crap actually, but it doesn't get carried or anything anymore. So what I did, I just decided to see if it was the same size washer as the locking side of the 7.7D. And in fact it was. So what I did is I just took that washer out of the Needs Work and installed it on the 770. Now granted, it does not make the knife any smoother. It's still going to flip the same way, but it does add some strength because it does have a larger washer. So that's something you can do if that's a concern you have. I know we were commenting back and forth, me and Apostle P, about that, and he said, yeah, that's a good idea. You should just try to snag one out of another knife, or, you know, maybe contact Kershaw and they can send you one, which I'm sure they would. It's just a small little brass washer, you know. So the 770, the conclusion is it may be better with the SpeedSafe. I don't mind. Sorry, bumping the camera. I don't mind a little wrist flick to get a knife open, but it just might be better with the SpeedSafe because it's just gonna fire better. It's gonna flip better. It's not gonna take so much. It's not gonna take any wrist. I mean, there, I did it without wrist there, but you see, it just doesn't quite engage. And it should be pretty smooth. I mean, I cleaned it up. I used the Tough Glide. I mean, I've heard people say nano oil is even better, which it may be, but I don't think it's gonna help it much because this is your culprit right here, the small flipper nub. It's just not very big. Now if this knife was on bearings, it wouldn't be a problem. It would flip open just fine, but it would cost a lot more money, hence the 777. So yeah, just something to consider. I mean, if you're looking to get this knife and you want to take out the SpeedSafe, yes, it works. If you're okay with a little wrist flick to get a knife open, and it's got this strange squeak that I don't know what it is. I cleaned out the pivot. It had all kinds of Loctite in there. Maybe I need to clean the screw a little bit better. Maybe that'll help. But the 566 does not do that at all. So, in fact, I'm just sitting here playing with this. It's just a superior. It's just superior. I mean, it's just a better flipper. It's, you know, stainless steel frame lock. I mean, if I was on the fence about these two knives, and I said this earlier, 566 hands down. So, something to consider. I do like the 770, all those sevens. It's a nice design. It's got great ergos. It's really lightweight. Like I said, it'll make a good gentleman's folder. And I may keep it, or I may just sell it and wait for the carbon fiber version to come out. And, you know, maybe that one will be different. But, you know, just a couple things to know. It does take a little wrist with this one, and I just think a lot of it is because of this small flipper. I mean, it's just really small. With the 566, I can get a lot of, I mean, I can preload that really well, and it just flies open. Whereas this one, you can't do that. It's just not there. So I don't know. I'm undecided on this one. May put the speedsafe back in. See how I like it. I just bumped the camera again. So, but it's a great knife. I mean, it's got nice. It's lightweight. It's good looking. It's really sleek. It's good size for EDC. So if you don't mind the speedsafe, definitely recommend it. There is no thumb studs for opening, obviously. It's just a flipper. And it does work without speedsafe. There is a detent hole. So if you don't mind doing that, a little wrist flick, it'll open just fine for you. So I don't know what that squeak is. It's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to have to take it apart again and see if I can fix that. But all right, guys, take care.